Okay, somebody wants to ask Carrie a question, push *6 and come back on. Carrie, you need to push *6 too. Hello, Carrie.
Okay, Ed, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was having trouble there for a minute. It kept the lady was talking to me on the recording.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I got it now.
We're ready to take questions.
Okay, that one person that asked, he had a question. Well, let's start with that one.
The person that had the question, would you push *6? Is everybody having problems getting on?
Well, while they're doing that, we're going to do a couple of changes in the way we do business. I'm just going to rattle on until somebody comes up with their question. But the tax court, we got them slammed. Thank you for that, people. Thank you. They're just completely backed up.
Well, I'm one of the lucky ones that got their dismissal notice several weeks ago.
Right.
And
I am.
And my question is, does that district court notice of dismissal for lack of jurisdiction?
Okay, now wait a second. That's not the district court. That's the tax court.
Well, that's the tax court. I say tax court.
Now wait a minute. It's also not from the court.
It comes from the clerk.
No, it does not. Do you have your dismissal there in front of you?
I have a certified copy of it. I have several.
That's okay. I want you to read it, but I want you to do me a favor. Where it says respondent, I want you to say IRS, and where it says petitioner, just say me. That way you don't have to have your name out there and all that. I want you to go ahead and read your order.
Holy crow, I don't know if I can reach it. Just a minute.
You better be able to reach it. Are you a midget or what?
Well, it's across the room. Just a minute.
Okay.
Stop it.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Now, okay. Now read.
What do you want me to read?
I want you to read your order, but I want you to, where it says respondent, I want you to say IRS. Where it says petitioner, I want you to say me. Go ahead.
On April 6, 2018, respondent filed a motion to dismiss for lack of... What do you want me to read?
That there, but I said where it says respondent, say IRS.
All right, respondent, IRS.
Okay, now read it.
My respondent says Commissioner of Internal Revenue. Okay.
Okay.
Now the order of dismissal for lack of jurisdiction. On April 6, 2018, respondent filed a motion to dismiss for lack of... all right. IRS respondent on 2018. IRS filed a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction on the ground that no notice of deficiency or notice of determination was issued to petitioner for tax years 2001 through and including 2009.
Okay, now stop right. That's good enough. So who filed the motion?
Petitioner, Ben J. Brad.
No. Read it again. I want you to understand what you have so you know how to use it.
Sure.
It says, it says respondent, the IRS, filed a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. So the court just agreed with them. The IRS told you they don't have jurisdiction because they violated your policies and your due process because they violated their policies and procedures. So, in other words, you have a court order that certified that the IRS said they did not, and they being the IRS, does not have jurisdiction. The court did not give that to you. The IRS gave it to you.
Hot damn.
You see?
Well, yes. Now let me amend that and ask. My problem started in 2014 when the Las Vegas court, when the IRS sued me in Las Vegas court, Las Vegas tax court.
No, they did. They sued you in the United States District Court.
Thank you.
See, no. I'm only telling. I'm not trying to be a wise guy. I'm trying to
I don't think
so
that
that people understand. Okay, because the IRS sued you in the United States District Court. Now, who told you they did not have jurisdiction?
Just 2 moments ago, you told me the IRS told me that they didn't have.
See, okay, yet
but
they sued you without jurisdiction. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Does that go back and nullify the Las Vegas court decision?
Ain't that something? It nullifies everything. If they touched anything in that time frame, they didn't have jurisdiction. So anything they did, if they took anything from you, we have a process that we're still knocking the edges off of it. We have a process to get every dime they've ever taken, any lien or levy they've ever liened on you, any levy they've ever put on you, anything they've ever taken from you, we can get it back, in theory, because what we're doing, that's what it says. Now, let me ask you this real quick.
Yes.
I want you to think about this question, because because this is how they hide. I don't know how many there are. Let's just say there's 100,000 courts in America. What percentage of those 100,000 courts have limited jurisdiction? County, state, federal, every court there is. How many of them have a limited jurisdiction?
Oh, fantastic.
How many? What percent? Wait a minute. What percentage of courts in America have limited jurisdiction?
Federal tax courts?
Nope. Listen to me.
District?
If there's 100,000 courts in America of every kind there is, all kinds, how many of that 100,000 courts have limited jurisdiction?
All of them.
There you go. Now you see the problem. So when you go to a federal district court to get a divorce, they can give you anything they want, but they don't have jurisdiction. That's why this is the key. You went to the tax court. The IRS said they didn't have jurisdiction. So if they did anything in that time frame, they didn't have jurisdiction. Now, what does the word jurisdiction define as? What is the definition of jurisdiction?
I have to go to Black's.
Authority. They had no authority.
I would refer to Black's Law Dictionary, but
that's fine. You can. And it talks about authority. So now I want you to think about this for a minute. I robbed a bank with a hammer. You robbed a bank with a fully automatic 50 caliber machine gun. Who goes to jail?
I don't know, the hammer or the machine gun.
Which one?
Is a person going to the jail?
Both of us. Both of us. The hammer's not illegal, but the act is. Okay, but the act is. So once the IRS did anything, because it didn't have jurisdiction, the act is now illegal. So we have to go to the court that has jurisdiction over the act. And they will give. See? See,
yes.
What's the problem? Okay, here's my question to you. I want you to think about this question. Does a United States government employee have to file a 1040 form? Okay, does a U.S.
Was that a statement?
No, I'm asking you, this is a question.
Oh, a question.
Does a government employee, a federal government employee, have to file a 1040 form?
Yes.
Why?
Because he has income, government. He has government income.
Okay, all right, no problem. Pull out the 1040 and the 1040 booklet and find the word income and define it.
Yes, that's right. It's not there. I just did.
Wait a minute. So if it's not there, what are they? So they're filling out a form to pay income on income that they don't know what it is. So now I'm going to ask you one more question. When I get paid, I'm a contractor. When I get paid, they pay me in dubulators. Okay? Now, do I pay taxes on dubulators?
Define dubulators. Is it?
There ain't no such thing. I made it up. It's made up word.
Yeah.
So you can't. Okay, how do you pay taxes on a dubulator? They don't exist. How do you pay taxes on income when it's a made-up word? It's not defined. Does that make sense?
What I think I read 30, 40 minutes ago was that income is not defined in the IR manual or the instructions.
Okay, so now you made 100,000. What?
100,000 toothpicks.
Okay. How much toothpicks do you owe? See the problem? It's not addressed. I'm not saying don't file. I'm not saying that you don't have to pay. What I'm saying is you have to pay on something. Let's go back to my example. When I do contractor work, I do a remodel, and the remodel is 75 dubulators. Now, it's on my tax return. I can't find the line dubulator. There is no dubulator there. So what do I put down? See the problem? Taxes are not illegal. The problem it is, okay, I get paid in moon dust. Where is moon dust on the tax return? I know people laugh at me about that. That's okay. Here's my question, okay? I want you to think about this now, okay? Have you stopped kicking your neighbor's dog?
No, I didn't start.
See, you just defended a negative. Ask me the same question.
Have you stopped kicking the neighbor's dog?
Which neighbor?
Okay.
See, you asked the question, you have to know. So tell me which neighbor. Pick a neighbor. I don't care which neighbor. Pick the neighbor.
Neighbor to the east.
Okay, the neighbor to the east doesn't have a dog. See, I'm not going to defend a negative. You can't. See, you're trying to defend a negative. Well, see, you're in front of a jury. You have 12 jurors up there, and they ask you, have you stopped poisoning your neighbor's dog? Then you say, well, let me see. Well, I don't think I've started. That doesn't matter what you said. They heard what they heard, and you didn't answer it. So they would ask me the same question. When I was indicted, that's what they did. Have you stopped poisoning your neighbor's dog? Lord have mercy. Which neighbor? The one on the left. Boy, you got some bad information there, dude. The dog, my house where I live on the left doesn't have a dog. Well, the one on the right, he doesn't have a dog either. I live in a neighborhood that don't have dogs. You can't have a dog live in my neighborhood. See what they did? They asked me a question, and I diffused it. The same thing with the 1040. Have you filled out a 1040? No. Why? I don't have to. I'm not required. Why aren't you required? Well, because I'm not a federal employee. It has nothing to do with you. Everything. See? The reason I don't file one is I don't know what to put down. It says total income. Total income's not defined. So what am I paying taxes on? Dublators? See? Dublators are worth $750,000 each. Well, believe it or not, dublators, I don't know what they are. See?
Would not the agent, would the agent there give you an explanation? Or would he continue asking?
It doesn't matter what he does. I could care less. When I was indicted, I was chained to the floor, and they threw questions at me just like that. Is there a reason you don't fill out a 1040? Oh, I do fill out a 1040. You do? Yeah. Well, how come we didn't get it? Well, because the booklet doesn't say to mail it. Well, come on. Well, I filled it out. Well, how much income did you have? I don't know. That I didn't know. So I put down what I think you think, what I think income is. He said, what do you think it is? Dublator switches. The IRS, I couldn't believe it. With a dumb look, I said, what's a dublator switch? I said, it's income. See, he's dumbfounded by it. Well, I said, that's what I thought. See, I'm not, it's not that I found out this. It's not about me. If you read your court order, see, you keep thinking, well, the IRS gave, the court gave me a whatever. No, they didn't. The IRS gave you that they didn't have jurisdiction. Now, what can they do? Zero. Zip. Nada. Anything they did in that time frame is null and void. Why? They didn't have jurisdiction.
That's fine, but how about before that time frame?
Well, okay. How far did you go back?
4 years.
Didn't I tell? I told everybody go back to 2000. That way you're covered. See, I told everybody go back to 2000. Now some people went back to 92, and that's because they were fighting something in the 90s. That's fine. The IRS, if you read the code, they can go back 10 years. In order for them to go back past 10 years, they have to be working on something or find something in that 10-year period. I have something now that says they didn't have jurisdiction. I don't care what they find. Makes no difference. Why? They can't look at it. See?
Okay, if to paraphrase what you just said, the IRS said they do not have jurisdiction in June of 2018, and in my interpretation, that statement is valid in 2014 or 2010, correct?
Well, I'm going to say yes, but you said you went back 4 years. I don't know why you did that. I don't know who told you.
That was the original. I know. The original court case that I was entered in was in 2014.
Okay.
And
does your document that you have from the court cover 2014?
That's what I'm asking you.
I know. Read it. It tells you. Read it. You're asking me to answer a question that I don't have the document. Read the document. What years are they? What years did you ask for, and what years are covered?
Tax years 201 through 209.
See, so it's 201 to 209. Okay. See, you're going to have to go back and get another one if you want 2014 covered. Now, did you?
There's your answer.
Well,
I understand.
Okay, I didn't have to. Now, my question is, did you go to jail?
I didn't know anybody in there to visit. No, I did not. But I've had liens.
Okay. Then those liens, they'll write you a check form. If anybody went to jail and they covered it on those jurisdictional issues, there's a court that deals with just that. That's your evidence. You have your evidence now. There's only two things that are allowed in court, facts and evidence. The fact is the IRS doesn't have jurisdiction. The evidence is they made the statement. See, I'm not telling you that. See,
yes.
It's right there. Now, there's a court that you can go to and file a form. In that form, you're going to mail it to them, and you're going to say, the IRS, I'm sorry, you're not going to say that. You're going to say, the defendant damaged me in the amount of $700 trillion. Here's my proof. See? Because you're going to have a lien. Go to the county and pull all of your liens. We can put that as evidence and send it to that court. Now, do you remember what form that you used to go to the tax court? Thank you.
You're 12277?
Okay, that's a form. No, you went to the tax court with form 2, 4, and 5.
Say again.
2, 4, and 5.
2, 4, 5.
That's what you filled out and sent to the tax court, and that's what got you what you got. The court that you go get your money, guess what form you use there?
I'm not familiar with that form, but I bet it's the same one.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something? You fill it out, lick the envelope, and mail it in. Now, I want to ask you a question, okay?
Is that going to get the rabid IRO officer off my back?
Well, you're asking me a question. Now, I'll answer it. Now, before I answer that, I live in Texas. Friday at 3 p.m., how's the weather going to be in Amarillo?
I'm not paying attention. My thoughts are going elsewhere because the IRS has already put that lady in a hole right now. They just don't know it yet.
There you go. But what you do is, so when you have a summons is when you go meet with the IRS. Now, are you in front of a computer by any chance?
Yes, but it's kind of slow.
I don't care. That's why you'll get started now so that when I finish my thought, I'll have you read it.
I already did.
Put in Title 26, Section 7608. When it pops up, let me know. I'm going to have you read it. I'm going to explain it to you. This is simple. See, what we've been doing is when I was taught this back in the 80s, here's what they told me. You're a sentient mortal. You're a non-resident alien. You have blood in your veins. You're the sovereign. When you go down there, you beat your chest and show them how tough you are. Show them how smart you are, and you'll scare me. I'm an idiot because it's not about me. It's about the law. What does the law say? I'm going to have you read the law. Well, the people are going to say, well, that's Title 26, and it's not positive law. Fine. Don't use it. But I promise you, if they use it, they're coming to get your stuff. Why? Because the court understands it. Now, if you go to The Hague and you get a judgment against the judge from The Hague, take your Hague judgment, go to the Hague sheriff, and have the Hague sheriff go arrest that judge. Guess what? That won't happen.
Okay.
Why? There ain't no Hague sheriffs. Do you have it? Now, I want you to read it. Read it slow so I can stop you along the way. Go ahead.
Now, wait a minute. I don't have it up, Kerry.
Okay.
Am I looking in federal code? Or
Title
what?
26.
Title 26. Just a minute. I'm on Google.
That's
Hopefully.
okay. Title 26, Section 7608. Hit enter, and it'll pop right up. So, where
7606.
No, 7608.
8. All right.
Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to go there and tell them, I don't care what I am. It doesn't matter. See? Think about this. If you fall off of a roof of the house, you're going down. If you drop a marble, you're going down. If a dog falls off, it's going down. Why is that? That's the law of gravity. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going down. Let's use the law. And now, when they break the law, we've got something, and there's a court we can take them to. See, we're trying to take the IRS agent to a federal court. They won't take the case because that court does not have jurisdiction. So let's take the case to court that has
the what? Oh, yes.
See, you take the case. Now, did you pull up 7608?
I title what?
Dang it, guy. Title 26. That's the income tax return. Title 26.
Okay. I don't multitask very well.
That's okay. Okay, go to your Google line and write TITLE 26.
26.
SECTION 7608. If somebody else can do that for us, that would be fine. Let's get somebody to do it so we can read it, because this is going to help you, and this is going to save you from if you ever get invited down.
Check out our other videos and playlists. Republic of Texas RT documentary. Texas and other American states is under a military occupation. The Republic of Texas Forum of 2016. And describe the kind of people who would thrive in independent Texas. And so check them out.
Yo.
Mike.
Yes.
Local neighborhood researcher. What do you want me to read? What do you want me to read? Sub A or B?
7608. Just
Authority of Internal Revenue Code.
Correct.
Okay, there.
From Cornell Education, Law Education.
Okay,
U.S. Code 76. Authority of Internal Revenue.
Okay, so be real quiet. Mike, would you read it?
Okay, subparagraph A, enforcement of subtitle E and other laws pertaining to liquor, tobacco, and firearms.
Stop right there. In other words, the only way they can indict you is for the enforcement to get involved. That's it. They cannot enforce it any other way. The enforcement gets its jurisdiction from alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. So if you're not selling alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, they're done. Stick a fork in them. It's over. So, see? That's where the problem is. We go down there and we say, well, my feet are big. One ear's bigger than the other. They could care less. You're still going to prison. Why? They get paid when you break the gates at the prison. So how do we protect ourselves? We just use the law. Now, if they say, well, I'm a subtitle E, how do you know? Just ask for their pocket commission. It's written on their pocket commission. It'll tell you. If they're an E agent, they get their authority. That's the same thing as jurisdiction from alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. That's it. You're done.
May I read B?
Yes, please.
Enforcement of laws relating to internal revenue other than subtitle E. Any CI of the Intelligence Division of the IRS whom the Secretary charges with the duty of enforcing any of the criminal provisions of the Internal Revenue laws and any other criminal provisions of law relating to internal revenue for the enforcement of which the Secretary is responsible, or any other law for which the Secretary has delegated investigatory authority to the Internal Revenue Service is, in the performance of his duties, authorized to perform the functions as prescribed in paragraph 2.
Alcohol,
paragraph 2.
Tobacco. Yeah, alcohol, tobacco,
functions, hold on. The functions are A, to execute and serve search warrants and arrest warrants and serve subpoenas and summonses. Subparagraph B, to make arrests without warrant, and subparagraph C, to make seizures. Therefore, subparagraph A talks about ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Subparagraph B is the enforcement of subparagraph A. So if anybody reads subparagraph B in relation to A, it's only to carry out those duties for warrants, arrests, and seizures. They have no other enforcement ability.
So, you can bet one thing: if you're going to court, it's an enforcement problem. See, it's now a legal problem. So hand them 7608. What I'm trying to tell you is, let's stop making this difficult. In other words, I have 6 toes on one foot, 3 toes on another foot, 7 fingers on one hand, and 3 on the other. Okay, well then I'm exempt from taxes. It's not what it says. See, the reason I don't fill a 1040 out is because it's an income tax return. I don't care what it is. That's what they're calling it. If you pinch an IRS agent and ask them, a 1040 is what? They're going to say, well, it's an income tax return. Perfect. Income is not defined on the 1040 or in the booklet. Now they got a problem. See? They say salaries, tips, etc. Well, I made $950,000, etc. last year. See? Well, what is that? I don't know. What's an etc.? It's a dublator. Well, what's a dublator? I don't know. I made that up too. See? All I do is try to show you what they're doing. And if we know what they're doing, we can beat them to the corner. We'll be standing waiting on them, see? It's not a problem. This is not difficult, but it's the way we're educated. They did this on purpose. So not only are we dumbed down, they try to tell you that 2 and 2 is sometimes 4, but if it comes to the IRS, it's 5. So we just say, okay, well, what's 2 and 2? Well, 4 or 5. No, it's not. It's always 4. 4 will protect you. 5 will cut your throat. So we're not here to reinvent the wheel. I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not telling anybody not to file. If you think you need to file, by all means, file. Now, I've also heard this all my life. When you sign the 1040, you're contracting with them. That's impossible. That could never happen that way. The reason for it is the only contracts that I know about are from 2 or more people. Now, if I sign the 1040 and they don't sign it, it's not a contract. It's something else. I don't know what it is, but see, that way you're volunteering to give them something. You're calling income the money you made. You're calling income the checks you get. Okay, that's your deal. Me, I'm too dumb to do that. What income did I have? I don't know. It's not defined. So I use a glossary page. On my glossary page, I have all that defined. So when I get my butt in the crack, I go to the courthouse, I hand it out. That way we're all on the same page. To me, that made perfect sense. So that's how I started doing that. Now, I use the glossary page for tickets, for everything. I changed the word. In other words, I don't need a traffic sign defined as for an IRS case. Just like I don't need income defined on my traffic case. So I have a glossary page for traffic, and then I tell them in Texas the traffic is the transportation code. Then I define the words from the transportation code. I put it down there and I define them. Then when I hand it out, if they don't agree with it, then I can act stupid. Were you driving that car? I don't know if it was me or not, because I don't know what me is, number one, and number two, I don't know what a car is because it's not defined. You said we weren't using it. See, I've already defined it. See? And I've defined it as the law defines it. That way I can use the law on it. Then if they do something stupid, I can appeal. And in the appellate court, we have real good success. Have I answered your question, sir?
Yes, I'm still listening.
Okay, no problem. Now, does anybody else have any questions? While you're doing *6 to ask the question, we went to the other court.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, so what? It's not your turn. Go ahead. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm not. Nah. Okay. No. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, the question I have is, can I see? I need to be able to see. If there's a copy, maybe y'all have like maybe it's in a database or something like that, but a copy of this dismissal from lack of jurisdiction that he just got from the court, and on it there was something that says that the Internal Revenue Service doesn't have doesn't have jurisdiction, and I suppose that's the tax court that said that the Internal Revenue Service doesn't have jurisdiction, but there's also
no. Stop right there.
Okay.
The IRS said the IRS don't have it, and the tax judge for the tax court agreed. The tax court did nothing. They did what they were asked.
Oh, okay.
Now, see, I'm just letting you know that because it's more powerful than just the judge saying you don't got it. They're saying they don't have it, and it's signed by two attorneys. The attorneys that wrote it, if you look at the way it's laid out, that's how it's done. Now, you can go online and just go online and see all the orders you want, but you can't see the motion because they won't let you see it. If you want to see a motion, you'll have to get with me or Ed, and we'll have to send you one of ours. That way, you can see what the attorney said. The attorney said we don't have it because we violated 6312 and 6212 and 6313A. It's mandatory. We absolutely mandatory to give them these two documents, and we didn't give it to them. So that's what they're saying.
Oh, so it says that on a reply to a motion.
Yes, but it does say that it does say that on the court order also. But if you understand and follow the flow, you can see the IRS's attorney, and not even the IRS's, the commissioner. Now, the commissioner, whether you like him or not, he's the main man. He's the top rung on the ladder. So the top rung on the ladder made this statement. We don't have jurisdiction because we never gave them a notice of deficiency and a notice of determination, which is required. They tell you why it's required, where you find it, and then the attorney signed it. So.
Oh, you mean that on that it states
yes.
From the Internal Revenue Service that they did not send a notice of deficiency or determination? Oh, okay. Okay.
No, not the IRS. The commissioner said it.
The commissioner for the IRS.
See, he's the man with the big cojones. He's the
right, but isn't that the same thing? But isn't that the same? Because when I asked that question, I'm talking about the IRS, and isn't the commissioner for the IRS and the IRS one and the same thing in the context of the question that I'm asking? I'm just asking, but to be sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. I make sandwiches out of bread. I also make bread pudding out of bread. So bread pudding and a sandwich is the same thing, right?
Could you repeat the question again? I didn't follow it. I tried to. Sorry.
I make a sandwich out of bread. I make bread pudding out of bread. So bread pudding and a sandwich is the same thing.
Okay, so you made sandwich. Okay, so you made a sandwich out of bread, and what was the next thing you said?
I make bread pudding. I make bread pudding out of bread. So
you made bread pudding out of bread. Okay, are they the same thing?
So they're the same thing. So if you want a sandwich, I can give you a piece of bread pudding because they're both made out of bread. See, that's what you're asking me. The IRS is the IRS. Again, you're trying to say, well, okay, who does the IRS work for?
Well, the reason why I asked you that question because I understood that you said that and I'm not trying to make a point here or anything. I'm just trying to understand this. I understood that you said. Okay, I understood that you said that you said that it wasn't the IRS, that it was the commissioner of the IRS. So I asked you, aren't they one and the same thing? For purposes of the understanding of my question, you said it was from the IRS. It was significant. What you said was highly significant. But I'm just trying to understand it.
Okay, when you go to the tax court, you're the petitioner. The respondent is the commissioner of the IRS. Then there's two or three attorneys that work for the respondent, who is the commissioner of the IRS. So what you're saying to me is Are they the same? Yes, but I want you to understand, it's not just the IRS saying it. It's not just an agent. It's not just the building. It's not the lady answering the phone. It's the man in charge. Him representing the IRS, and the attorneys represent him. So the document that we have is not just a document. It's a certified court order signed by a judge certifying it that the IRS, the commissioner via the IRS through their attorneys made this statement. That's what it is. And that's what we're using. So we're not using a letter. We're not using I get letters from the IRS every once in a while, and I've never had one signed. This one is signed by the attorney for the commissioner, and then the document that I got from the court is signed by the judge. So, and I certified it. Now, if I need that in court, that's what I take to court. And without fail, they say, well, that doesn't say what you think it says. Now they got a problem because I'm a nut job. So I ask them, well, what am I thinking now? What? Yeah. If it's not what I think it says, then what does it say? Well, they can't tell you either. See? Now what they've done is they've thrown the judge under the bus. The judge has, well, we don't make legal determinations. Really? My brother stood right in front of your court, right in front of you. You're the one that put my brother in prison. So what are you trying to tell me? That wasn't a legal determination? You're a liar? See? Or a cheat? Well, probably both. See? Or you are now in contempt of court, or you perjure yourself. In other words, it says what it says. I don't care what it says, but I can read. I'm an idiot, but I'm not stupid. It says what it says, and that's what we're using. So now, if you have that document, and you go to a court that has jurisdiction over the purse strings of the IRS, and they made the comment they didn't have jurisdiction, and they took one dime from you.
Our blog is texasrepublic.wordpress.com. Our website is thetexasrepublic.com. Our email address is oneyellowroseenterprises@gmail.com. Our YouTube profile is, this is the link, because YouTube doesn't allow us to have a customized URL until we have over a certain number of subscribers. And follow us on Twitter at Texas Republic for You and at We Are Texians.
Wouldn't that court give it back?
Offhand, I'll say yes.
Or offhand, you're right. The court won't do it. You'll get a judgment. Then where do you take it? Now, I want you to think about this. Have you ever filled a 1040 out and had an overage, and the IRS wrote you a refund check? Has that ever happened to you or anybody you know? Has that ever happened?
Well, I think it might have some years ago,
no, sir, it did not.
but I'm not sure.
No,
the
sir,
Treasury wrote you the check.
There you go. The Treasury writes the check. So you take you're going to take your judgment, and you're going to send it to the Treasury, to the accounts payable. They don't know what to do with this, so they're going to run it through like everything else, and they're going to send you a Treasury check. This is what I'm telling you. I sat down and I'm connecting all these dots. See, in other words, you have to go to the court that has jurisdiction. If you go online, go on to the United States District Court. It says this is a court of limited jurisdiction. If you go on to the court, the tax court, the United States Tax Court, guess what it says? This is a court of limited jurisdiction. If you go on to a state court, it says this is a court of limited jurisdiction. So I'm an idiot, but guess what? It's a limited jurisdiction. So if you take them a case that they don't have jurisdiction in, they can rule in it. They can do whatever they want. Why? They don't have jurisdiction. They don't have jurisdiction. The order is faulty. Now we can take that faulty order and break it off in the judge. Why? He can't make it, but he did. See? Does that?
Could you run that part by me again? He can't, but he did. I think I was following you in a general sense about what you were saying. At least I hope I was. But that last sentence that you were.
If the judge makes a ruling in a court he does not have jurisdiction, that order is void. It has no validity. If they try to move on it, you go after the judge or you go after the agent at that point or whoever's making the move. So in other words, if I get a speeding ticket from China and they send it to Mexico, will the Mexican sheriff drive up here and arrest me and drive me to China? No. Why? They don't have jurisdiction. So
right.
They're wasting their paper. So if the IRS doesn't have jurisdiction, that means they don't have the authority. Anything they touched, there's a court that has jurisdiction over that portion. You go to that court with your evidence. They will give you the judgment. Why? They didn't have jurisdiction. The judgment doesn't exist. So that's what you ask them in your paperwork. They have a form. The form happens to be the same number that the
245
tax court used. So to me, that was significant. I filled it out and I mailed it in. Now this week we got 6 calls from that court, from the DOJ.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that part that you said? That last thing that you said right there? That last sentence or two. What was that you did? It was just
okay. We went to the court with our evidence that they didn't have jurisdiction, so we're asking them to give us a judgment. We're taking that judgment and we're sending it to the Treasury. Now, we had the DOJ call us this week. We have 6 guys that I'm personally taking. Out of that 6, all 6 of them got a call asking us if we could do a offer and compromise. We now have the IRS asking us to do an offer and compromise.
Yeah.
So what do you think we said? Why, of course, put the offer on a piece of paper. That way we can have something to compromise.
You have the IRS doing what?
They're asking us to do an offer and compromise.
A compromise?
Yes.
An offer and compromise. Do you understand how long?
No, that I don't understand because I thought if they don't have any jurisdiction, they don't even have any grounds to ask for a compromise because that's what I thought.
Wait a minute now. If you get a notice of lien for $1 million,
right?
Who makes that $1 million lien? I'm sorry, notice of lien valuable. Who puts the value on that notice of lien? Okay, I'll make the question a little easier. If you get a notice of lien for $1 million, who makes the $1 million notice of lien valuable? Where's the value? Okay, so obviously you don't understand it then. See? Nobody. That's a counterfeit security. If you get $1 million lien, you make it valuable. So they're monetizing a notice as a lien. That's where it's illegal. They can't take that in court. They won't come to court with you. They'll do an offer and compromise. They'll give you your money because if you take them to court and that you can prove, and we can prove it, that they monetize a notice, that's counterfeit securities. Bernie Madoff sold them. That brings 25 to life. So we're not arguing the fact that we're not dancing anymore. We're asking for the agent to go to prison for 25 to life because he's using a counterfeit security to get paid. So we're using the same law they use. They put Bernie Madoff in for 25 to life. So we're asking for the agent that signed the bottom of the notice of lien. That's a counterfeit security. We want that agent to go to prison for 25 to life. I'm not talking to them about dancing. We're asking. Okay, we're on offense. The reason you're not getting a lot of this is you've been on defense for your whole life.
Right.
We're on offense. Okay, we're on offense.
Right.
We're passing the ball. We're not defending it. See?
Right.
So they don't know how to do it either.
So let me ask you something that would help me to understand a little bit better. So it's kind of like it would be my own lack of knowledge that would have made that lien valuable then.
That's correct. Now, Hosea 4:6 in the Old Testament says, "My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge." That's your fault. Now, it doesn't matter. No, whether you know it or not, the IRS is monetizing it, and the reason they're monetizing it is because we have a Federal Reserve, we have a fiat money system. See, so what they're doing is they're taking the notice, they're monetizing it, and they're getting paid. Now, I want you to think about this. You're driving down the street, you get a ticket January the 1st for $100. You fight it. December the 31st, you paid the $100. When did the state, the county, whoever, when did they get their money?
When I paid it, December the 31st.
No, they got it January the 1st. They deposited it into an account because they monetized it. That's how the fiat system works. Okay?
Right.
See? So that's what they're doing. As soon as they mail you your notice of lien, they monetize it and get paid right then. Then the IRS agent gets a commission off of that. So if you got $1 million notice of lien, they get paid right then. Now, there's the negative side of it on the double book entries. There's nothing backing it. You have to pay it back. So how do you pay it back? How do you balance their books? Go to the treasurer and say, "Give me the $1 million." When they write you the check, you're the surety. Minus $1 million plus $1 million equals 0. Their books balance. The Treasury loves us. The Treasury thinks we're the cat's meow, and the reason for it is we're helping them balance their books.
Oh, okay.
See, this is a queer system,
and
they're taking advantage of it. You don't understand it, so because you don't understand it, I want you to think about this a minute, okay? I can't tell on the phone. But I'm going to ask you: are you white, black, Hispanic, Chinese, or other?
No, I'm none of those things.
Okay, what are you?
I am.
See the problem? You don't even know what the heck you are, bud.
Yeah, well, I was gonna tell you what I had to think about it. You know, I'm not sure. I don't know what I am. Maybe I have to think about that for a couple of days.
You sound white. Traditionally, are you white?
Yeah, no, I'm white. I was just thinking because I was thinking of that in terms of being a person of color, because there's no black person exists. Right, because if you look at that, it's not the color of the black, and no white person really exists. Huh?
That's right. But here now, let me ask you a question: are you Toyota white or Ford white? That's white. See, we're not white.
No.
Okay. The point that I'm trying to make.
Actually, most people consider me. I'm a white person, okay? But I'm just saying, in the context of what we're trying to talk about here, I mean, in day-to-day, everyday conversation, because those are like relative terms that we use. Hey, are you black, or are you white, or whatever? But in the context that we're talking about here, a white person doesn't exist.
That's right. So, see, legally, in the legal sense, that's what they're using, because if you don't file something and they think you should, you're going to prison. So there's a legal communication there. They have their own language. I want you to think about this for a minute. If you pull into a court and the judge stands up and speaks to you in Mandarin, and the prosecuting attorney starts speaking in Mandarin, what are you going to do? You're going to ask for a translator.
I guess I'm going to. I don't know. I guess I might walk out of the court or something. I might be so confused.
I understand. But you're going to ask for a translator. Now the question is,
right.
if you don't speak Mandarin, and the translator is telling you what they're saying, you don't know that. So when I go to court, I go with a glossary page. That's my interpreter. See?
And so your glossary page would be. So your glossary page would be, and I guess this is pretty obvious now that I'm saying this, but I mean, it would be like Black's Law Dictionary or.
Absolutely, Black's Law Dictionary, the Supreme, the Constitution, the Supreme Court. See, in other words, let me use this as an example. All right, money. What is money? I don't care what you think it is. What is it defined in law as? See the problem? So they're going to go there and say, you don't make any money? Well, yeah, I make money. You just screwed yourself. What are they talking about? See, you're talking Federal Reserve notes. If you look at in Black's Law Dictionary, fiat money is American currency. It's not money. That's the definition of it. So what is money? So if fiat money is not money, what's money? See, you got to get it determined. I have it defined as the law says. So when I'm in court, they're not going to say, "Would you make not money?" Yeah, I make not money. Problem is, you can't tax not money. Why? Because there's no basis for it. That's what the glossary page does. That's my translator. When they tell me to go, all right, do you know what meatballs are? Yeah, they're made out of tofu. No, they're not. They're made out of meat. Oh, now you got a problem. You got beef, pork, you've got lamb, you got goat, you got horse. See? So what is it? I don't know. It's made out of meat. Now you got a problem. See, you're in there fighting for the beef. Well, my mama made them with beef. Well, my mama made them with pork and lamb. Now you got a problem. See? I don't let that happen because I say meatballs are pork, beef, and lamb of equal proportions. Now, when they say to me, what is a meatball? I know what it is. They're going to say, we're not using that. No problem. What did you make any meatballs? I couldn't tell you that because you aren't using my glossary page. So I don't know what it is. They're going to define it. Well, it's beef. Oh, I don't make beef. See, I make meatballs. Well, that's beef. No, it isn't. It's beef, pork, and lamb. That's what the law says. As an example. See, that's my translator. That way, no matter how confused or scared I get or how much I'm wetting myself or whatever, I have a translator. The translator has always saved my bacon. Always. See? Now, I want to ask you a question.
Who's the translator?
The glossary page. It's
the
Black's
glossary.
Law Dictionary.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
It's Black's Law Dictionary. It's the Constitution. It's Supreme Court cases. It might be in Title 26, Section so-and-so. In other words, that's what we're using. Let me ask you a question. Do you eat bacon for breakfast, or have you ever eaten bacon for breakfast?
I have.
Okay.
But I don't now.
Okay. Now, was it made out of turkey?
It was made out of pig. Pork.
See the problem? I was talking turkey bacon. You didn't ask. You said you did. So you know what turkey is then. See, I asked you that question so I could get it that you eat bacon is turkey. Now you're going to say, yeah, I eat it. All right, now what's a turkey? I don't know. You're full of shit. Go to prison. Why? Because you eat it. You already said you eat it. Bacon is turkey. Now you're saying you don't know what it is. So you're going to jail for contempt of court, or you're going there for perjury. You perjured yourself. Why? You said you eat bacon. See, that's what the glossary page does. It defines the word that they're going to use. See? Now, my glossary page for traffic is an automobile. I define it. I can define it any way I want. It's my glossary page. See? See?
Hello, Kerry.
Motor vehicle,
right.
Yes.
Let's see if somebody else has a question.
Absolutely. Yeah, go right ahead and ask them. Sure. Absolutely. No problem.
Run out of time here.
Sure.
Does anybody else have a question?
Is the court
I'd like
going
to ask
through
a
the court of
question.
claims?
All right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and ask the question.
Okay, so after we get our deal all squared away in the U.S. tax court, and we send our letter to the IRS to get a notice back that we don't have to file taxes, do you know which IRS address is the best to use?
Yes. All the above. All the above. You pull out your letters that you got. See, that's where the problem comes. That's the difficult part here. You'll get a letter from Ogden, then you'll get one from Tennessee, then you'll get one from Chicago, you'll get one from Detroit, you'll get one from Austin. See the problem? So what I do is I send it to Austin and I send it to Washington, D.C. That's what I do, because if they don't get it now, it ain't no big deal. See? And then what I do is that's how I do it. And guess what goes with my stuff? I send my glossary page with my stuff. That way they can see. And I put a cover letter with it. This letter is to inform you that I'm a taxpayer. Let me ask you a question. Are you a taxpayer?
Yes.
All right. See? Most people say, I'm not. Well, good. Then if you're not a taxpayer, then none of this matters. Go down there and tell them you're not a taxpayer. That's how they get us. See? So what I do is I tell them, I'm a taxpayer. I love you. You guys are so good. Here's my cover letter. Here's what I'm doing. By the way, see my glossary page. I have no income because it's not defined. I don't know what it is. See? I'm a welder. I'm a contractor. I'm a sheetrock guy. I'm a painter. I'm a body man. I'm a mechanic. I have no idea what income is. Now, does anybody here on this call tonight have a checking account that they can get a check for me? The reason I want you to get it is I want you to look on the cover of that check and spell the word check that's on the check, and that will answer your question, why I have a glossary page. If you have a checking account, just open it up and look at the check that hasn't been written yet. Just look at the face of it. Tell me how a check is spelled. Okay, anybody else get a question while they're looking for that?
I think it's spelled CHEQUE, but I haven't looked at a check for a while.
You're wrong.
No? Is it even on there?
There you go. It's not on there. So if it's not on there, you're calling. Wait a minute. You said it was a checking account. You said it was a checkbook. It was a check. Then what's a check? What's a check? Wouldn't it have to have check on it somewhere? CK, a check mark. See? It's not a check. It all has to do with the fiat money. Are you paid with a check? Yes, I am. I'm not. What do they pay you with? Military script. They pay me with a blue piece of paper that has a number in the corner and a signature. Sounds like a check. Well, it ain't, because it's not written on it. See? If you have a Toyota and a Lexus sitting side by side, and you're not real familiar with them, how do you know which one's which?
A Toyota and what?
A Lexus.
Sorry, a Toyota and a what?
A Lexus.
Oh, Lexus. Okay.
If they're sitting side by side, they're both white. How do you know which one's which?
Usually one has a Lexus.
No, sir. Nope. Both of them have something written on them. One says Toyota, one says Lexus. How do you know what's the difference between a Suburban and an Escalade? How do you know you're driving a Suburban? It says Chevrolet on it. See? A Chevy truck or a GMC. Well, guess what? It's written on there. See? So if the word check is not on my checking account.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
See? Okay. What I'm trying to tell you is that's what my glossary page does. It's going to say a check is a federal obligation. See? And I'm going to put it right on the Title 31, Section 3124. That's what it says it is. I don't care what it is. That's what the law says it is. Then I go to the next one, so that when I get to the courthouse and I hand it to them, they either use that or they don't. If they're not using it, then they're speaking Mandarin, and we have no meeting of the minds, so I can't understand what they're saying. Okay, anybody else have a question? Please ask it.
Hey, Kerry, I have a question.
Go ahead, ask it.
If for the recoupment of what they have taken previously. Yes. Is there a process to recoup the thousands and thousands I've taken in the past?
Yes.
Is there a process for that? Can we know it?
Yes, I do. I got it down. Now, here's the question. Okay, do you have your court order from the tax court?
Yes.
How far back did you go back?
2000.
Okay, from 2000 to 2017 or 18, whichever you got, anything they touched in that along there. If they wrote you a notice of lien or notice of levy, if they took money, if your company took money out of your check, they couldn't do that. See, if they went to your bank and they couldn't do that. So what you need to do is go to the county and get any past, present, or whatever notices of liens. The number that's on there, whether it's $1 or 500 million, that you get back. Why? Because they did not have the authority to do that, and it damaged you. That's the definition of a damage. See? They damaged you. You couldn't buy a house. You couldn't this. You could. That's a damage, and they did it maliciously and deliberately. Why? They didn't have jurisdiction. See? Now, I want to ask you, the guy that just asked me that, I want you to think about this, okay? If you're allergic to seafood, can you eat a beef steak?
Is that the total of the question?
Yes, that's all the question. If you're allergic to seafood, can you eat a beef steak?
A beef steak, if I know what beef is, or all seafood is.
It's a four-legged big moo-moo cow that you cut up into steaks and roasts and stuff. Can you eat one of those?
If I'm not allergic to beef steak, then yes.
All right. Now, if you're allergic to seafood, close your eyes and eat the shrimp.
Can I do that? Yes, I could.
I don't know.
I'm not white to.
What? Wait a minute. If you eat shrimp, it'll kill you because that's seafood. But also SEE is C. I said if you see food. I mean, if you're allergic to seafood.
Oh, yes, see.
And I replied, if I know what beef is and know what seafood is. So, yes, I understand the play on words.
See? Okay, that's why I have a glossary page. I want none of that to happen to me. See? So when they walk in and they ask me, if you're allergic to seafood, well, then I would close my eyes.
Exactly.
And so the recoupment would be to the Court of Claims or the International Court of Trade?
Probably. You're asking me a question that as soon as I let it out, it's going to be done wrong. So
I got you. I'll send you an email.
There you go. That would just be better. It's a simple process. It's about 8 pages, 6 pages. It takes you about 10 minutes to fill it out. But what I'm trying to tell you is, see, it's not what you think. It's what it is. See what I'm saying? I want to ask you a question. Do you mind if I ask you this?
Go ahead.
Okay, I want you to answer it, and just answer it truthful. What color is Mickey Mouse?
What color? I don't know. It depends on what he's wearing.
Okay, he can be. All right, he's butt naked. Oh. What color is Mickey Mouse? Not the clothes he's wearing. What color is Mickey Mouse?
The ears are black. The face is white. The nose is maybe red.
See, you're wrong. Mickey Mouse doesn't exist. There you go. See? So you see what I'm saying? Okay, let me ask you a question. Does Santa Claus come to your house? Hopefully
I can't give you a truthful answer. These are non sequiturs and logical fallacies, so I can't give you any answers to these questions.
No, what I'm trying to tell you is, see, I asked you what color Mickey Mouse was. You said black and white. It's impossible. Mickey Mouse doesn't exist. That's what they're doing to us. If you understand that the 1040 is an income tax return, income is not defined. That's like Mickey Mouse. What color is Mickey Mouse? I don't know. He don't exist. Why would you fill a 1040 out? Income, it does not exist. Why? Because it ain't defined. See how simple that is?
Yeah, Section 10.
Gary.
Yeah. The Section 1040 is of tax on farm and farm products and property. Section 1040.
Yes.
May I read to you Title 31, USC 321, Federal Income Defined. Maybe
yes.
he will get... The Secretary of the Treasury may accept, hold, administer, and use gifts and bequests of property, both real and personal, for the purpose of aiding or facilitating the work of the Department of the Treasury. Gifts and bequests of money and the proceeds from sales of other property received as gifts or bequests shall be deposited in the Treasury in a separate fund and shall be dispersed on order of the Secretary of the Treasury. Property accepted under this paragraph and the proceeds thereof shall be used as nearly as possible in accordance with the terms of the gift or bequest.
Okay. Now,
for the purpose of federal income, estate and gift taxes, property subparagraph 1 shall be considered as a gift or bequest to or for the use of the United States.
Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to like this video. And don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. Here's the front page of the channel. The bottom arrow is pointing at the subscribe button that's normally red until you click on it, and this one turns white after you subscribe. And the right one is the arrow. The top arrow is pointing to the bell. Now, the bell doesn't show up until after you click the subscribe button, and then the bell will show up. And that way you can be notified of new uploads.
Okay. Now, do you see what I'm trying to tell you? A 1040 form is an income tax return. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you?
I know the return's 1040, but the 1040 tax is Section 20, Title 26, Section 1040 is the 1040 tax that goes on these liens, that the notice of liens.
Okay, but now, do you know how it got it? Do you know how it got its name 1040? Because back in the Civil War, Lincoln put out bonds. He bankrupted America by putting out bonds. Guess what number the bonds were?
The 1040 bond?
Yes. And so you're paying back the bonds that Lincoln wrote 150, 160 years ago. What I'm trying to tell you, see, that's why, guess what? I have a glossary page, and with that glossary page, all that's on there. So I will be glad to fill out a 1040 tax return. I have no problem with that. The problem is, what kind of a tax do you pay? An income tax. Guess what? He just read it. See the problem? Let's go back to what I asked you earlier. What color is Mickey Mouse? Would you tell me that again? Now would you tell me?
You have to define what Mickey Mouse is.
Okay, see, I didn't have to before. See, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't exist. It's a 17-story building that has a red roof and blue front. So what color is Mickey Mouse? Doesn't matter. He still don't exist. Just like Santa Claus. Guess what? It don't matter. Why? Santa Claus don't exist either. See, the point that I'm trying to make, if we understand that going in, when they ask you something stupid, see, and the IRS asks stupid questions, or they do me anyways. See, why are you against paying your fair share? I'm not against paying my fair share. Fair share of what? See, to me that's a simple thing. If I come to you and tell you that you want a new bathroom, and I say to you, okay, it's going to be $10,000, what are you going to ask me?
10,000 what?
If you don't let me do it, I'm taking your house. I'm going to throw you in prison. That's what they do to us. See how legitimate that makes? 10,000. That's what they're saying. See? Now, okay, I'm going to ask you this. Do you know what Do you know what a dollar is? What's the definition of a dollar?
The one in the statutes?
Okay. I don't care what you use. Anything you want. Just tell me what is a dollar.
The unit of measure of value.
Okay. It's a unit of measure of value. But here's a better definition. It's a unit of measure of value of gold and silver. That's what it is. Now, $1 to gold and silver is the same thing as a gallon is to a liquid. If I told you you owe me 10,000 gallons, what would you say?
Gallons of what?
That's all you'd have to say. Well, you owe us $10,000. What would you say?
Dollars of what?
That's it. Because guess what? You can't pay gold and silver, so it has to be something else. They have to be using something else as their measurement. So I think I have a right to know.
Just write $10,000 on a piece. Write $10,000 on a piece of paper and sign it and give it to them.
There you go. See, if I'm using a ruler to build a wall, and my ruler every 2 inches is an inch, and you're using one and every half inch is an inch. When you're done with your side and I'm done with my side, they're not going to match, are they?
Nope.
See, that's what we got here. I'm a simple guy. That's all I am. I'm a simple guy. When I'm asked a question, that's the first thing out of my mouth. I'm confused. Dollar of what? Inch of what? Now, I want to show you how ridiculous we become. I'm just going to ask you a question. How tall are you? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm taller than my nose. I'm taller than my nose.
See, you didn't tell me, so they would put you in jail for that. So what I would say, how do you want it measured? Okay, I want it in foot and inches. Now, would you tell me?
Foot and inches of what? Again, these are units of measure.
That's right. Go ahead. The U.S. measurements.
69 inches.
That would be fine. See, what I would say is 1 foot, because foot is 1, and then I would put the inches on it. See, when I ask that question, most people finally get on and say, okay, I'm 6 foot 3 inches. I didn't ask you how many feet you were, because 6 is not 1. I'm 6 feet 3 inches, whatever. See the problem? We're answering what they want. I don't do that. When they say to me, well, we want it in foot and inches, no problem. I'm 1 foot, 49 inches. That's what they asked. That's what they asked.
Yes,
because a foot is 1. See, that's how I do everything when I'm with them, and it frustrates them. Well, you know what we meant. If I knew what you meant, then I would have answered what you meant.
If you can read my mind, then you wouldn't have to ask the question.
See, if you know what you meant, then ask what you meant. Well, we want it in feet, and inches. That's better. 3 feet, 37 inches. See, I still did what they said. See, they're going to ask the question 4 or 5 times before I give it to them.
Can I ask you a question here? Just meant as an interjection, not as an interruption here. I'm sorry, just as an interjection. And maybe this will contribute something too, also. But the question I have is, how can you be held in contempt of court for not answering by saying, okay, I'm taller than my nose, is like if they don't have jurisdiction over you? Could you clarify that for me?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, that would be your question. Instead of fighting with them, well, I'm a sentient. See, that's what I would say. I'd say, well, first of all, since you don't have jurisdiction to even ask the question, then I would answer it. 1 foot, 69 inches, or whatever it would be. See, that's how I would answer it.
So you could just tell them with a blatantly open attitude, hey, you don't have jurisdiction to ask me that question.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, because you don't, I'm going to tell you that I'm taller than my nose is while I'm standing vertical.
Right. I'm taller than my wife.
Huh?
I'm taller than my wife.
Oh, okay.
No, what I'm saying to you, see, what I'm trying to tell you is I answer the question they ask. The problem is they want me to answer the question they want. I won't do that. See, when I go to court and give them my glossary page, the first thing out of the mouth is, we're not using that. No problem. How tall are you? I'm 3 foot around. What? Well, you're not using my glossary page, so I thought you was asking me how round I was. I have no idea what they're saying because they're speaking Mandarin. I'm listening to English. Okay? Now, before we go here, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, they have to define their terms.
What's that?
You bring your own terms so they don't define theirs and leave us to connect dots that don't exist.
Right. I don't bring my terms. I bring their terms, but they're defined up front. That's where we get into trouble. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer this. What does S-H-I-T spell?
It spells S-H-I-T?
Yeah, what does it spell? What's the word for it?
The pronunciation of it.
Okay. I'm not going to give you the answer then. So you'll have to just figure that one out. But if you'll tell me what it spells, I'll tell you what it really spells.
It spells the word S-H-I-T.
Okay. How do you get that out of feces? Because doctors say when a baby craps its pants, that's feces. How did that get into feces? Tell me that one. See, it's called ship high in transit. Back right there, early 1800s, you'd crap on the floor in a bucket. They called it a smudge pot. You pooped in the pot and poured it out in the dumpster out by your house or by the apartment. The horse and trailer would come by. They'd scoop it out, throw it in the trailer, take it down to the ocean, and shovel it into the boat, into the ship. Then what they would do is they would go out into the ocean and shovel it out through the windows. It smelled so bad they would wear a mask and smoke a cigar. And the reason they did that helped with the smell. Well, it puts off methane gas. So smoking their cigars, it ignited and it blew up the ship. The ship sank and they lost a crew of 29. Ooh. So they said they redesigned the ships to put it out on the top so that when they'd go out there, it would blow the methane gas away. So they no longer put it in the bowels of the ship. They put it on the top. It's ship high in transit. In other words, you can look it up on the internet. If you don't know that, when you go in there and the judge says, you're full of shit. I'm not. I'm full of feces, Your Honor. See? I'm not going to draw the conclusion for him. And that's look it up. You can put it in there, and it's an acronym. And so now what we call it is it's ship high in transit. We call it shit. It's not. It's feces. But it's got the nickname of it. That's a true story. You can look it up on the internet, see?
Cool.
Now, I'm going to ask you another question. What does GOLF spell?
Spells the name of a game, a stupid, slow game.
Okay. What is it? Then let me ask you a question. Do ladies play golf?
I've seen ladies playing the stupid, slow game.
No, you haven't. It's gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. Ladies do not play. They're forbidden. So what do you
Another
see?
acronym. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You see bitches, whores, whatever other acronym you want to put. That's not me. That's what it stands for. Because in England, the men would go down to the golf, and the gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. They go into the little clubhouse and hit the ball back and forth, smoke their cigar, and drink their cognac. That way they could get away from their wives for a while. See? Wives can play. Girlfriends can play. Children can play. But ladies can't play because they're forbidden. I'm just telling you. See? That's why I decided I was going to get me a glossary page. See? So when I
get it.
I got a fighting chance.
Oh, Kerry, we got 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thanks.
5 minutes, people. So if anybody has a question, ask it so we can answer it. Otherwise,
yes, I have a question. I have a question of very, very limited scope and it's very simple. You said we have to. You suggested that we go back 10 years. In my case,
I didn't say
10
that.
years.
The IRS has trouble going back past 10 years. Go ahead.
Past 10 years. Okay. Okay, so if I go as far back as 2009, that's good enough. I mean, well, for me it would be because, you know, prior to that, you know, I never got a W-2 for what I was doing.
Okay.
You know, but on the 2009 onward, I did. I don't know if that's, you know, if that's specific enough for you. I'd ask the question.
I would go back to 2000.
2000, okay, but what happened, Steve, from 2000 to 2009, I never got a W-2 because I was working as an independent contractor, and I didn't file anyway, you know? So if I do that, wouldn't that just make it more problematic if I went before, because it wasn't until 2009 that I was working for somebody, not as an employee, you know, not receiving any income or wages or anything like that, but getting a W-2 and filing it, you know. So should I, you know, would it really be a good idea for me to go before 2009?
What happens if they come back and go back that far? Now, here's my question. Just to show you, you made a statement. I don't think you know what you said. What is a W-4?
A W-4 is one of those things that your employer gives you to, no, not employer, the person that you work for, that they give you to fill out so that you, because if you don't fill out, you won't get the job.
It's an allowance certificate. At the top of it, and here's where they get it. At the top of it, I think on number 4, it says number of dependents. Number of dependents. I have 2 children and a wife and myself. That would be 4 dependents. On the bottom, where you signed it, it says number of allowances from the worksheet above. So you've converted your dependents into allowances. So what they're doing is they're allowing you to keep part of your money. So when I was a kid, I would go mow the grass. My dad would give me allowance. So I have 712 boys and 913 girls. Now, my dad gave me money. So an allowance is not the same as a dependent. That was the other thing that I beat them on. See, I have that on the glossary page, what I've done. See, in other words, if you get a W-4 and read it, it says number of dependents. And you put it down. They define dependents as people that depend on you. So, in other words, your children, your wife, whatever, that's a dependent. At the bottom, it says number of allowances from the worksheet above. They tell you where to get it. That is your dependents. So you're converting the dependent to an allowance. That's where they get, okay, if it's an allowance, they control allowance. That's a word they have jurisdiction on. They don't have jurisdiction on a dependent.
Okay.
Right. I use a W-4V.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Kerry.
Oh, no problem. Thanks. I hope you guys
our next call will be March 12th.
Thanks, Ed. Yep, thanks, Ed.
Right.
Thank you, Kerry and Ed.